This week, get ready for some absolute bangers and world premieres. Larian's newest game, Diablo IV finally returning to the roots, and Monster Hunter Wilds maybe, just maybe, finally fixing everything. All that and so much more. The hate is real. The hype I mean, for the newly announced Lord of Hatred expansion coming to Diablo IV on April 28th. Not to confuse with Vessel of Hatred, that was the previous expansion, which is also included if you pre-purchase the new one. Tempting. Very tempting. But we still stand by our golden rule here, no pre-purchase. The story picks up where the last expansion ended, bringing players from its lush forests to Skavos, the ancient birthplace of Inarius and Lilith, because the latter just can't stay dead, apparently. And although we will probably never get the pure mayhem that made Diablo 3 so much fun, Blizzard does seem to have listened to player feedback. There is a surprising amount of features in this expansion that instantly reminded us of Diablo 3. For starters, the Horadric Cube is back, basically Diablo 4's take on Kenai's Cube, used for legendary crafting, transmutations, and a few snarky Soultune cool comments sprinkled in between. Then, sets with set bonuses will make their appearance, and we are already hoping for some ridiculous combinations here. We also get skill variants and customizable endgame that lets you combine activities with modifiers for long-term rewards. We also get 2 new classes, a mystery class and the Paladin, with shields, hammers, auras, and everything a holy warrior needs. And you can even play the Paladin right now, if you pre-purchase. Seriously, Blizzard, why must you test our willpower like this? There will also be tons of other features like mercenaries and finally some loot filters, believe it or not. Also, fishing, because you have got to wind down somehow after a long day of demon slaying. What do you think the mystery class will be? Witch Doctor? Monk? Or maybe even a Whimsydale unicorn rider? Tell us in the comments. While we are still working on our first Lords of the Fallen playthrough, the developers casually released their final update and announced their sequel, Typical Friday, over at CI Games. And while we barely survive 15 minutes at a time, Lords of the Fallen 2 jumps forward 1000 years. That's plenty of deaths to get us there. As the new lamp bearer, you're not just fighting the darkness, you're tearing through it, literally. As dismemberment is now a full combat system. This episode really isn't for the faint of heart. Overall, the studio describes it as heavy metal souls-like, darker, more demanding, with no mercy. Combat feels faster and is clearly designed to push even veterans to the edge. Great! What's also great are the visuals. While the first one reportedly started in Unreal Engine 4 and was ported later, this one was built in Unreal Engine 5 from the very start. And it shows. CI Games promises to deliver for everyone. Solo players, co-op teams, and even competitive fighters with optional PvP. It will also double down on fan-favorite elements like the Umbral exploration, while introducing new elements to the combat and delivering a more westernized and character-focused storytelling. And while we wait for Lords of the Fallen 2 to arrive on consoles and the Epic Games Store in 2026, the studio has released their latest update for the first game. Version 2.5 overhauls boss behavior, adds a punishing veteran mode with new attack patterns, and buffs several boss weapons. It's the final polish after more than 70 updates, and if you have been waiting to give it a try, the game is currently 50% off on Steam. We are huge fans of the Divinity series, and when Larian released Baldur's Gate 3, we couldn't help hoping their next Divinity game would follow a similar path. But the proverb, "be careful what you wish for," has never become more accurate. Yes, Larian did announce a new Divinity game, but also yes, your nightmares just got a trailer. And we are not talking about the Baldur's Gate 3 narrator describing a worm wiggling behind your eye, but completely over-the-top body horror. So we have trimmed it a little for our channel and your sanity, but if you want the full horror show, hop over to Larian's channel and don't say we didn't warn you. The game is simply titled Divinity, without original sin in the name. A brand new flagship RPG in the Divinity universe, not a continuation of the original Sin line. It was announced at the Game Awards as Larian's biggest RPG ever, promising more depth and intimacy than anything they have built before. And yes, this also includes Baldur's Gate 3. Sven Vinke put it bluntly, this is the Divinity they have always wanted to make. Story details are thin, but we know it takes place in Rivellon, where the gods are silent and new powers are rising. There was no word of co-op or multiplayer yet, but given Larian's track record, we are already expecting another chaos-powered multiplayer sandbox, with endless possibilities of unexpected twists and turns, choice-driven narratives, and deep class systems. We are definitely hyped, though we will probably need to chill in a colorful Rivellon forest for a bit until the next trailer drops. Monster Hunter Wilds is lining up its last few updates before the first expansion hits. And before you skip away, yes, the big performance fixes are finally here. Most of those are going live in December, with a second wave between January and February. But before that, we have got one more full title update staring us down. Well, actually that's Gogmazios, but he's also part of the update. So, case in point. This multi-story tall, tar-spewing Elder Dragon unlocks at Hunter rank 100 and drags you into an absolutely epic multi-phase showdown built for up to 8 hunters. 8, you might ask? And yes, technically. But 4 of them are NPC support hunters. So better gear up your Polico as backup. Beating it rewards you with materials that evolve Rarity 8 Artian weapons into new Gogma variants, complete with reinforced upgrades and a pair of random bonus skills, giving the game a deeper loot spiral. There is also more endgame with armor transcendence upgrades that allow upgrades beyond the current limit. The new Arc-Tempered Jean Dahad, triple monster hunts for exclusive nameplates, and fresh special event quests. The update also kicks off the Festival of Accord Lumen Hymn on December 19th. A cozy winter event with hub decorations, themed gear, daily bonuses, and 2 new support hunters joining the roster. I'm just a little bit disappointed that it isn't called Lumihim, but the unsung hero here is clearly optimization. Capcom is rolling out more than 100 performance improvements across CPU and GPU load, crash fixes, crossplay and lobby fixes. January and February bring even more PC-focused patches, ending with the final Arc-Tempered monster in mid-February. If you want in on Gogmazios Day 1, you have only got a few more days left to hit Hunter rank 100 before the tar starts flying. The most adorable creature collector Aniimo also jumped back into the spotlight at the Game Awards this week, with a new trailer and a big announcement. A global second closed beta test is coming in early 2026, this time again for PC and iOS players only. The trailer gives us a first look at the new content coming with this beta, with the most notable ones definitely being the newly introduced Aniimo and their evolved forms, including the puppy Aniimo Fentuft, the lizard Momand, and a pretty badly tempered bear cub. A brand new zone will also be introduced, and we are pretty sure that those new Aniimo will come in pretty handy for puzzles, exploration and fighting there, thanks to the game's signature twining mechanic that lets players merge with any Aniimo, granting them their abilities. Another major highlight is the new Homeland feature. Pathfinders will get their own cozy camper van that seems to act as a place to bond with other players, but also acts as an access point for the player base. This seems to have been overhauled from a mere production-focused base to one that's part amusement park, part farming hub. The trailer also teases a brand new competitive mode called Operation Egg Heist. The goal is securing more eggs from under the noses of very angered mother Aniimos before the opponent team does. You can sign up for the playtest on Aniimo's website starting now. This next brand new reveal from the Game Awards had Nox and me yelling, "Horses and shotguns! Again!" So, you know, it definitely made an entrance for us. Highguard is going to be a free-to-play PvP raid shooter, which sounds like a pretty new genre mix if you ask me. And it's from a new studio with some of the makers of Apex Legends and Titanfall, which can be a pro or a con depending on how you feel about those games. You and your crew become arcane gunslingers who charge into battle on mounts, storm enemy bases, and fight over who gets to ride a huge tank-like vehicle to tear down enemy walls. Actually, this reminded us a lot of the Battle for Wintergrass in World of Warcraft. The one with the vehicle spawns and the 80 extremely disorganized players that have one shared thought. I never want to end up here ever again. Yeah, exactly that. They announced this as a new breed of shooter, which is pretty bold, a little cringe too, but makes perfect sense. I mean, instead of camping in circles in like Apex Legends, then rotating to the next one, you're actually riding warbears and stuff around the map and wreck castle walls and supposedly also PvE and, of course, PvP opponents. There also seems to be an ability system around red ball-shaped objects. No, not Pokeballs, silly. Although, we wouldn't be surprised if they'd add that element too. But in all honesty, if you're a fan of team shooters, but would still love something a bit differently flavored than the hero-based shooter formula, this could definitely be worth keeping an eye on. And you don't even have to wait for long, as it's coming out on January 26, 2026 for PC5, Xbox Series and PC with full crossplay and cross-progression. Zombies was so 2025. Get ready for next year's flavor: aliens. Mike Booth, the lead designer behind Left 4 Dead, is venturing into new territory with his freshly announced project, For Loop. No, not a programming for loop, though in practice, the game plays out a lot like one. But let's begin with the setting. The Earth was invaded and lost in less than a minute. The machine that caused all this is also the very machine in charge of fixing it again. And you, of course. Who else? It is a sci-fi third-person co-op shooter where 4 player squads fight against an alien invasion. The twist? Death isn't the end, as you are reprinted every time you fail, keeping your knowledge intact for the next run. The big bad is the mothership, overseeing the invasion. Your mission is to sabotage mining ops across escalating acts to bait it for an epic boss fight. And while success means saving the world, failure brings you back to the start. Just a little better this time. What kills you makes you stronger, eh? Got that wrong all this time. Classic roguelike mechanics in a game that doesn't take itself too seriously, with gear like the Blinkberry that explodes and teleports everyone around it. In an interview, Booth promises improvisation and cooperation are everything. Carry teammates, chain powers, and invent strategies on the fly. However, for that to work, you have to be a team of 4. Booth continues that random folks on the internet must cooperate. It's up to the players to improvise and manage their own risk and reward. Okay, I guess we are all screwed, but it certainly looks like a lot of fun. If you saw our last news video, and apparently not many of you did, thanks algorithm, you already know a huge Path of Exile 2 update is going live this week. If not, consider the video officially added to your to-do list for today. Apparently, that wasn't the only thing that slipped through the cracks, because Grinding Gear Games also remembered that they added a new Sorceress Ascendancy, letting players craft their own Djinn-based summoner builds. We are also finally getting some couch co-op fixes, including a fully refactored UI that actually lets both players interact with it simultaneously. And Twitch drops are live for the next 2 weeks. One of them even gives your druid a whole pack to roam with, so grab yours while they are up. If you have been topside lately and crave a little shake-up, you only have to wait a few more days. Arc Raiders Cold Snap update is coming on December 16th, bringing snowfall to all maps. And if you're thinking, well, I ain't afraid of no snow, think again. Muffled sounds, reduced visibility, and worst of all, trackable footprints. The update also brings a new community event, a new raider deck, quests, missions, and bug fixes. So better get your Hullcracker polished. It's a good thing that the Marvel universe has no shortage of heroes, because if this speed keeps up, Marvel Rivals would soon run out of new characters to add to their roster. This time we get to play Rogue, a highly adaptable vanguard with a kit centered around stealing your opponent's abilities. So if you have difficulties picking a hero, this might be your pick. We also got a cheeky outlook for January, when Deadpool joins the roster, and the game will ultimately become a lot more silly. No details on the playstyle yet, but unhinged mayhem is to be expected for sure. This newly announced co-op game is a huge love letter to 70s and 80s anime, although they probably looked way less polished on the CRT TVs back then. Orbitals is a two-player, asymmetrical puzzle adventure similar to It Takes Two, but in space. Unfortunately, it's a Switch 2 exclusive, launching in 2026. But on the bright side, you only need one copy for split screenplay or game share with nearby Switch 2 consoles. If you have always wanted to play a racing game, but cars aren't your thing, you are in luck. Even more so if you're a Star Wars fan, because Galactic Racer is a new, upcoming Outer Rim racing game. And we can already disappoint you here. No, there will be no pod racing. Instead, you will be steering repulsor craft like speeder bikes in competitive matches against other players, with a full single-player story campaign coming at launch next year. The winter update is live in Godbreakers, which not only added a server browser for easy co-op session setups, but also the Recollection mode, which adds bite-sized biome changes with pre-made loadouts and new enemies. We also get a new weapon, and longtime viewers of this channel might have already guessed it, it's a greatsword. Duet Night Abyss gets its first major content update, launching December 23rd. It introduces the new Eastern-inspired region of Washu, far east of Atlasia. This mystical nation of pavilions, waterfalls, and enchanted forests stands in sharp contrast to the tech-heavy Hyperborea the game has focused on until now. There will also be new playable characters, gear, and Genimon, including rewards and events when the update launches. And that's all for the news this week. With the holidays now closing in, we wanted to take a second to already wish all of you a Merry Christmas, if you celebrate. We will keep our eyes and ears peeled for exciting news over the holidays, but we cannot promise that there will be new episodes in the next 2 weeks, mainly because all studios are on holiday too. Oh, and Santa Claus also sends his early seasonal greetings and told us to tell you to definitely not miss the free-to-keep Ho Ho Hogwarts Legacy game on the Epic Game Store. Even though it's very much single-player, it's still a AAA Harry Potter game. So again, we wish you a merry, jolly good time in co-op or on the Christmas markets with your favorite people, and we'll see you again in the next one.